When I visit my brother and my sister-in-law, usually after dinner, the kids go down in the basement and play while the adults stay at the dinner table and talk for a little while. And my sister-in-law will engage in the conversation just like the rest of us. But she's also constantly listening and monitoring what's going on in the basement with the kids at the same time. And you wouldn't know that she's doing that because she's just engaged in the conversation until something goes wrong or something catches her attention, and immediately you can tell her focus is to what's going on in the basement. And there's times that I don't notice anything going on out of the ordinary down there, but she'll notice right away when something's happening. You know, if the kids are playing with something that they shouldn't be playing with, she'll hear it. She'll hear the noise. Or if it gets a little too noisy in the basement, she knows that tempers are getting too high. Or if they're a little too quiet, she knows that they're probably doing something they shouldn't be doing. And sometimes when they start crying, she can actually distinguish. First of all, she knows which kid is crying. And then she can distinguish between a cry of a kid who is just fake crying. And then she'll distinguish between that and a cry of a kid who's just neglected and playing and feels like they're left out, versus a kid who's actually injured. She'll know right away if a kid's really crying and really hurt. It amazes me that she has kind of like this sixth sense of motherhood, that she's able to constantly know what's going on with her children, as mothers do. But today we celebrate the feast day of the Assumption of our spiritual mother, Mary, when she was taken up body and soul into the glory of heaven. And first of all, it's fitting for us to celebrate this feast day because she's in heaven. She's attained the final victory. And it's fitting that because she was conceived without original sin, and she never committed any personal sin, that she would be first among humanity to receive the fruits of the victory of her Son. And she was the perfect model of a disciple. She did God's will at every moment of her life. And she shared in a very unique way in the passion of her Son, in a way that none of us ever will, because that was her own Son, that she knew was also the Son of God. And so her participation at the foot of the cross was entirely unique. And now she shares in a unique and a privileged way in his victory. And so it's fitting for us to rejoice that our spiritual mother has been welcomed, body and soul, into heaven. But another thing we can reflect upon with the Assumption is the reality that her Assumption doesn't distance her from us. It's not like she's in heaven, so she's way far away. But the opposite is actually true. She's able to be closer to us because she is in heaven. If we think about it, it would be amazing if she was on earth and we could actually go and visit her. I mean, think about how powerful that would be to be able to talk to the Blessed Virgin Mary and to hear the gospel through her lips as Christ's mother. It would be amazing, but the reality is there would be so many people trying to talk to her that we'd probably never get the chance. And if we did get the chance, it'd be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. But now that she's in the glory of heaven, she's close to each and every one of us. And we can talk to her freely, and she can hear every word that we say. And she can listen to us individually, and like a mother, she can watch over us. And she can constantly be aware of what's going on in our lives and what dangers and what struggles we face. As a mother, she can be attentive to each and every detail of our lives in a way that she couldn't if she were still here on earth. And if we think about our natural mothers and how carefully they listen to us, especially when we're small children, and how carefully they watch over us, how much more so would our Blessed Mother do the same for us? Because she is the perfection of motherhood. If a child who's injured, or who's in danger, or who's starving, cries out to their mother for protection, or for food, or for something, think about how quickly their mother is going to respond. Mothers are completely selfless, and they would give anything for their children. And they always think about their children before they think about themselves. How much more so will our spiritual mother respond to our needs when we cry out to her? She's not going to ignore us. She's going to be carefully attentive and listen to our every need. If we're being tempted to evil and we cry out to our Blessed Mother, she's going to hear us. If we've fallen into sin and we're discouraged and we cry out to her, she's going to hear that. If we cry out to her because we're broken internally, she's going to respond. Or if we're struggling to seek the truth in the midst of a world where there's so many contradictory and disordered messages, if we're seeking the truth and we cry out to her, she's going to lead us to the right path. When we say that the Hail Holy Queen, it's a beautiful prayer. But there's one line in particular. To thee do we cry, poor banished children of Eve. To thee do we send up our sighs, mourning and weeping in this valley of tears. I think that's a beautiful line to reflect upon and to have confidence that our Blessed Mother is listening to every cry when we reach out to her in this valley of tears. And not only does she listen to our needs, but as Queen of Heaven, she has the power to distribute graces to us. She has the ability to respond to our needs. Because God has put her in a central role as the Queen of Heaven, to be an instrument of his mercy. He desires for us to receive incredible graces, and so he chooses our Blessed Mother as an instrument through which we can receive those graces. Sometimes people worry that devotion to Mary interferes with our devotion to God, or the honor that we should be giving to God. But that's simply not the case. Because Mary doesn't do her work apart from God. It's not like we can go to God or we could go to Mary. We have to choose one or the other. That's not the way that it works. The reason why she's our advocate is because she is so perfectly and deeply rooted in the Sacred Heart of Jesus Christ, her Son. And so all the graces that we receive are coming from the Sacred Heart of Jesus Christ through the hands of our spiritual mother. We cannot grow close to Mary without also growing close to her Son, because she's so closely united to him. And if we really, truly want to grow close to Jesus Christ and enter into his Sacred Heart, part of that includes a love for his Blessed Mother, because he loved Mary in a unique and a deep and a powerful way. And so if we seek to grow deeper into Christ, we must love Mary as our mother as well. And so devotion to Mary never interferes with our devotion to Christ, but it draws us deeper into his Sacred Heart. We hear in the gospel this beautiful prayer of Mary called the Magnificat, when she says, "My soul proclaims the greatness of the Lord." She is a humble mirror that reflects the mercy and the greatness of God. Every gift that we receive through her hands is a manifestation of the goodness of God. And so as we celebrate this wonderful feast day of the Assumption, we celebrate with joy the entrance of our spiritual mother, who has done so much for us. We celebrate with joy her entrance into the glory of heaven. And we put our confidence in her loving care, knowing that she hears every one of our petitions every time that we cry out to her. And we know that she was assumed into heaven not so that she would be distant from us, but so that she could be closer to each and every one of us than she ever could while she was still on earth.